He has been called a film icon, a screen idol, the godfather of indie film, and he is all of these things and more. He's an actor and filmmaker of extraordinary talent. He is a worldwide celebrity, and this was in the days when celebrity actually meant you had to accomplish something to be a celebrity, who has navigated that unforgiving terrain for decades, and yet he maintains a sterling reputation and an admirable public persona. He's a passionate environmentalist who demonstrates commitment, courage, and resolve in his sustained efforts to protect the planet. But it's the values that Colby and Robert Redford share that make this occasion so auspicious. Today, we honor Robert Redford because of his enduring commitment to the environment, to the arts, and to paving the way for others to succeed. We honor him because of his commitment to the open expression of ideas and his dedication to the power of artful storytelling. That commitment drives his most passionate projects, like the Sundance Institute. He launched it 34 years ago to foster independence, risk-taking, and new voices in American film. And the impact today may have been unimaginable then. Through the Institute, through the Film Festival, through his many other accomplishments, Mr. Redford represents the core and best values of Colby. For all these reasons and more, please welcome the commencement speaker for today's class of 2015, Mr. Robert Redford.
Now watch me kill the good feeling. Thank you, President, faculty, staff, board. So I guess, you know, some of you are probably saying, yeah, why is he here? Well, I'll tell you, I'm here because of my respect for this school and for what it's accomplished, what it represents, and also because it has such a diversity about its makeup. And so I'm here to celebrate the school, and also, you know, full disclosure, I have a grandson who's graduating with you all. Yeah. He is, isn't he? So basically, as well as being here because I've been honored, I want to celebrate the value of education and the value of teachers. And I learned that in a kind of a hard way when I was growing up as a kid in Los Angeles. The school system, I didn't know it then, but the school system was pretty poor because we had substitute teachers. It was the end of the Second World War, and so I didn't know that the teachers were substitute teachers. So it left me uninspired. It left me more interested in what was out the window and sketching underneath the table, things like that, because I didn't realize that the real teachers weren't coming back yet. So I was not a good student, but I learned a valuable lesson about what a really good teacher could do. And it only takes maybe 2 or 3 in your academic lifetime to make a difference. And I had one in the 3rd grade. I'll share that story with you. I was not paying attention. I was doing something that I felt was more interesting to me. I love to draw, and I love to draw stories for myself and entertain myself. It was kind of like having a companion. So I was caught by the teacher in the 3rd grade underneath the table. She said, what's so important there? What's more important than our lesson here today to you? You want to come up and show the class what's more important than what we're trying to talk about here? And I thought, oh God, I'm toast. She's going to burn me, and it's going to work, and the kids are going to laugh, and I'm going to feel like hell, and I will shrink. Instead, when I came up and I held up the drawing, she said, do you want to talk about it? And I said, well, yeah, but what this is some cowboys chasing some Indians over a cliff. Cowboys are shooting bullets at the Indians are shooting arrows back at the cowboys. And B-51 bombers are bombing the cowboys. So what happened was the class responded to it. They liked it, and the teachers saw that. And at that moment, rather than burning me, she said, I tell you what, she said, what we're going to do is we're going to put an easel up here every Wednesday and give you 15 minutes and some newspaper print paper and let you come up and draw a story for us every Wednesday. But then you have to promise to pay attention to the rest of the time. Well, had she not made that move, my life could have gone in a different direction. So that's just an example of how a teacher can maybe affect your life, and it certainly changed mine, and certainly for the better. So obviously I'm here to celebrate the value of teachers, but I'm also not going to tell you what to do. I mean, I'm not qualified for that, but what I can do is maybe put the focus on the word hope. They say hope. They say it springs eternal in every human breast, but does it? When we look around and we think about what you're going to be stepping into using that word hope, after you leave the school where you've had the security and the comfort of the school itself, of friends, when you step out of that, you're stepping into a world that's, well, pretty rough. It's pretty chaotic, pretty divisive. You got climate change, you got debt, you got wars, you got political paralysis. But that story, it's kind of a grim story, but the story, I think, can be retold. And I really believe that you're the ones to do it. You're the ones to retell the story. And God knows it is a story that needs to be retold. If we're going to have any kind of future at all, it has to be retold. So here we are at a junction, and I see it for you all in a very positive way. Because you have the tools. This school has provided you with the tools, and it's provided you with the history of this school, and the tools it's provided you with certainly enable you to go out in the world and make a difference. So what we're needing also is another word that's missing, and that's collaboration. The collaboration that connects you not only to each other, but also to the planet. So it's the collaboration between you and the planet. It connects you to the planet, rather than plans to slowly destroy the planet through unwanted development, out of control development, short-term thinking, short-term narrow-minded political thinking. All this can change. It's in your hands. So instead of divisiveness, instead of chaos and so forth, how about, instead of the ideology that some people are stuck with, there's no ability right now, it seems, for opposing sides to come together. They're sticking to their own stubborn ideology about what's right, and it's the only right. The only right is the right that they proclaim. Rather than opening up and listening to the other side and say, well, let's see what they have to say. Let's talk about this. Let's kind of come together. You know, there is a word called compromise. And that's supposed to be the definition of politics. It's supposed to be the definition of our political leaders, the art of compromise. Well, we don't see it. So obviously something has to change, and I think that you're the ones to do it. And I think when you have that kind of stalemate, there's an inherent loss of opportunity, an opportunity to take social issues and take the social fabric of this country and move it forward. And have it be forward thinking rather than slow thinking, rather than narrow thinking. So you have that ability. The school has, I think, garnered that ability for you. One of the other reasons I'm here. But I want to, when I'm talking about coming together, let me just share you quickly a story about coming together and how valuable it can be, and the fact that we don't appear to have it right now, this coming together. But years ago, I had made this film back in 1974-5 about the Watergate situation. And when years later, that went well and so forth, but years later, a television channel came to me and said, look, we'd like to do, this is about 30 years later, they said, we'd like to do a revisit of Watergate. We'd like to look back and have you maybe do a revisit of Watergate. I said, no, some things you leave alone. You don't sit on them, you move on, you leave it alone. That was then. Times have changed. Times have changed so much since that time. That was the time when I was feeling like I was making a contribution to the celebration of the value of journalism. But it seemed that with all the changes that have occurred with the internet and so forth, and soundbite and yada, yada, yada out there, people talking their brains out, and you're not hearing anything, that what was the point? And then I thought, wait a minute, maybe it could be looked at like a museum piece, like a moment in time that's gone. And maybe we can look back on it and reflect on it and think about it. Well, while I was looking at the footage to edit the film, there was a moment that kind of stunned me, and that was in the archival footage we have. John Dean was testifying before the Watergate hearing committee, and the committee was made up of both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. And what really stunned me was how this panel was working together to get to the truth. I thought, wow, there was a time. So it's still possible. It can be revived. Again, I think I'm putting it in your hands. Sorry about that, but I think I'm putting it in your hands. So having said that, I think finally I would only share the following things with you, which is as you go forward, think about some words to carry with you. And one is be bold. Don't fear failure, because a lot of people think failure is the end of the road, but for me it's not. It's a step along the road. Don't be afraid to take risks, because that's what moves you forward. You may have some heartaches, things may not go right, but you have to be using methods to keep moving you forward. And I think taking a risk is one. I think not taking a risk, in fact, is a risk. So don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid of failure. Be bold. And finally, I guess I would share with you a quote that I came across recently from Kierkegaard, and said, to lose oneself is to lose oneself momentarily. To lose oneself completely is to lose oneself. I wish you all the best. Thank you.